guys. Like, for instance, there is this guy named Mike Biril, um, awesome keyboard player. You have Corey Henry, of course. Everybody know Corey Henry if you're a musician. Corey Henry. Quenelle Gaskin is also amazing. Um, who else is there? Doobie Powell as well. I'm a big fan of Doobie Powell. Um, and yeah, guys like that. I listen to, and Jacob Collier. Oh God, how me forget Jacob Collier? Jacob Collier, the alien genius, great one, right? Yeah. So these guys have really influenced how I think and how I play. Um, and it's not necessarily the case where I would try to sound like these guys. Like I can't say, okay, let me put on this cap now and let me put on that cap or whatever. However, just the overall approach to music and chords and stuff, I would say I got it from, or I got some influences or some touches from some of these styles
Okay,
of playing. Yeah.
awesome. All right, those are a lot of great people, great musicians.
Yes, sir.
But if you should choose one to do a collab with, who would you choose?
A collab. Um, collab. I don't know. I don't know if keyboard collabs are that popular. Um, but maybe to probably work on something that one of them is doing. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I wouldn't be like disappointed at one over the other. Any one of them, really and truly. Um, I probably would feel like I'm not worthy in the presence of like a Jacob Collier type of thing. I feel like I learned so much from him as opposed to just like you know putting in my own 2 cents or whatever. But yeah, anyone really, any one of them would work. I don't necessarily um
Awesome.
prefer. Yeah.
All right, who do you currently work for?
Well, right now I work for Jermaine Edwards, local gospel artist, with the Island Worship Band. Shout out to the Island Worship Band. I think Verlander is in here, sax player. Big up yourself, sir.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I work with that band right now. I also work with the JCDC. That's the with the song competition, the JCDC song competition. It's a yearly thing. I work with them as one of the arrangers of the music. We work on the albums, arrange the songs and stuff. I work alongside Ron Matheson. Big up to Ron wherever he is. And you know, we arrange the music as I said before, and arrange we arrange the music for the album. We also arrange the music for live performances as well. And so that's a lot of fun. And I work with them every year, and it's just awesome. Yeah. So those are the people. And then I am a freelance musician, so when the gigs are there and they come in, then we're running depending on the gig and whatever. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to ask you now. I would like to find out what's there in the future for Christopher Wright. So, what are you currently working on now to sort of set the stage for the future?
Well, there's a working on music. I'm trying to get into the whole production thing a little bit more. And when I say get into it, I mean being an actual producer. My thing has always sort of been um working alongside producers and kind of being the one that arranges stuff and kind of is the musician amongst the bigger guys who produce and make executive decisions and whatever. So I'm looking to probably get into the producing thing myself. Maybe not to produce myself specifically, but to produce other music and stuff, and just to do more music, because music is awesome, and it can never stop. So you have to do what you have to do. So yeah, and I see myself in a few years time being better than I am now, improving, because there's always room for improvement. There's always room to develop and get better at what you do. You know what I mean? No one knows everything, and I would never try to profess like me know everything or whatever. I am like the standard by which a good player should be defined or whatever. It's not. That's not the case at all. I'm just somebody who loves what he does. Been doing it for a while, and yeah, I'm looking to improve and get better. Yeah.
Awesome. Well said. Do you think you are an approachable musician, Chris?
Um. Well, technically, that would be a question for someone who has attempted to approach me. But I mean, in my opinion, I think I'm approachable. Um. Like I said, what I think about myself, I think I'm cool. I'm down to earth, whatever, whatever, and stuff like that. One thing I don't do, which some people have asked, is like when someone might approach you and say, hey, what's your number? I want to thing there. I normally just like, well, okay, maybe I'd prefer to communicate on a social media platform, and because the number thing is can be a little bit personal. You don't know who it is. You don't know what kind of whatever and whatever. You know what I mean? So
All right.
so you have to be, yeah. So, but I would
Awesome.
say generally I am.
All right. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is to give some of the fans, some of the persons who would like to contact you, um, some platforms that we can contact you on.
Okay. Um. Well, I'm on Facebook. At Chris Wright. If you type in Chris Wright, then and you look for my picture, it should come up. I am on Instagram at ChrisyKins1234. That's my Instagram handle, and yeah, that is basically what I'm on. Yeah, if you want to check out my stuff or whatever, I'm also on YouTube. It's been a while since I've posted anything on YouTube, but I'm there as well.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Before I let you go, Chris, just to make an announcement that we are now streaming to YouTube, the Music Hacks
Heyo.
Network. All right. Big up yourself, J Keys. J Keys is a member of the Music Hacks Network staff, and he's taking care of that now. So for the
Mhm.
persons who cannot get on to the Zoom platform, please go over to the Music Hacks Network on YouTube and view that live stream. All right, Chris, I'm going to ask you to take center stage now. Just announce your topic and then take center stage.
All right. Good night again, everybody. Uh, yeah, circumstances would have afforded me to be here right now to do this right now at this time. Grateful definitely though to be here to share with you guys. Chris, one more thing before you go, right?
Okay, sir.
Um, I have to check if this thing is the way it's supposed to be. Is it?
Yes, just give me a little bit more volume.
Okay.
Awesome, awesome.
Better? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. So yeah. Um so the topic is chords. I think it's appropriate for me to sort of give a basic theory lesson, if you will, on like chords and stuff. Just because the foundation of chords is important in learning how to play the keyboard, any instrument really. So just gonna make it really simple. Give me a second. Let me just share something with you guys. So I take it you guys are seeing this, right? Seeing the keyboard on the
Yes,
screen
we
and all
are
that
seeing
stuff.
it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So, where do we start? Okay, so chords. What's a chord? A chord is basically three or more notes like stacked on top of each other, right? It's played at the same time. Um, we get chords from scales actually. So, first scale, right? So that scale is the C major scale, right? C D E F G A B C, C major scale. Now the chord dictates that, okay, you have the C. From C to C is 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 3, 5 gives you a C major chord, right? I know it's very basic, but we're going to build on it. Major chord, 1, 3, and 5 major chord, right? Now, in terms of intervals, the interval is the smallest distance between two notes. So the distance between C and E is called a major third, as you can see there. Distance between C and G is called a perfect fifth, right? So we have a major third and a perfect fifth. That gives you a major chord. If I wanted this chord to be minor, I would flatten the third. Flatten means to go to the left, right? So you make the intervals smaller. You go to the left. So you're going to the left of E, you end up at D sharp. Now D sharp is also called E flat, right? But we're gonna call it E flat here, even though it says D sharp. Okay? So now we have C major. Can we mute the microphones, please? Thanks. Respect. All right. So C, E, G, C major, right? Flatten the third, C minor, right? So C major, C minor, right? If we flatten the fifth, we end up with another chord, and that chord is called the C diminished, right? So C, E, G, flatten the third, C minor, flatten the fifth, C diminished, right? There's one more chord, and that is the C augmented, which is C, E, G sharp, right? So this is G. When you go up, it's sharp. This is G. We go the opposite direction to the left, it's flat, right? So that would be G flat, G sharp, right? So these chords, I'm playing 3 notes at a time, so they're called triads. So there are 4 main triads: C major, C minor, C diminished, C augmented, right? So those are the basic triads that we have, that we use in music. What happens though is that each of these triads have what we call inversions, right? I don't know if there are any singers here, but think of an inversion as rearranging a particular note in putting a note at a different place to give a different sound. So you're going up the inversion in this case. So an example of inversion would be, if this is C, E, G, if I take this C and put it at the top, that gives me the first inversion of C. If I take this E and put it at the top, that gives me the second inversion of C. That means that I have 2 inversions of C major, right? This one is called the root position. So you have a root position, which is its basic state that the major chord can exist in, basic state. Then we have the first inversion, second inversion, back to the root, and so on and so forth. That goes up, right? So yeah, and you have that now for basically every note has that. So C sharp, which is the one above C. So all I'm doing, I'm the same thing I'm doing in each time. I'm just going up. I'm putting the first note at the top, and that note at the top, and so on and so forth. That's what I'm doing each time I go up the inversion. Everybody should understand it because it's really basic, right? So those are triads, because triad means 3, so 3 notes at a time. Then what happens now? We start adding more notes to the chord. Right? Now, the note that I'm going to add is this note, B. That B is a 7th note. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is a 7. Because it's in the major scale, it's called a major 7. Major 7, right? Because it's in the major scale. Now, the next 4-note chord, because this is a 4-note chord, so the next one would be the dominant 7. Now, what the dominant 7 does is it flattens the 7th of a major 7. Flatten means, as we said, go to the left. So that major 7 that was here, we go to the left, we have a dominant 7. Right? Dominant 7. Okay? Oh, one more thing I wanted to do is, well, I kind of wanted to do it a little bit later, but I guess I can introduce it now. Is that all of this stuff, as theoretic as it is and confusing to might be some who don't know what is going on now, it's very practical to the point where it's used all over regular music and all the songs that we know. You know, all of that stuff. That's what we're talking about right now. It's this simple stuff, right? C major 7, right? Yeah, so that's what we just did. The dominant 7, right? Dominant 7 is like, I know a place, ain't nobody crying. Right? So that is a dominant 7. Kind of like a bluesy sound. Right? Kind of bluesy. Right? Dominant 7. The next one we have from the dominant 7 is we have the minor 7. Now, this was the dominant 7, C, E, G, B flat. Forgive me if I'm moving quickly. C, E, G, B flat. We flatten the third of this chord, which is the E, and we end up with that C, E flat, G, B flat as a minor 7th, right? That's what that sounds like, okay? Minor 7. Now, if you have a minor 7 and you flatten the 5th note now in that, which is the G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this note, you flatten that, you have a C minor 7 flat 5, okay? Don't be intimidated by the name. If you think about it, all it is, it's basically telling you, it's literally telling you what you do with the note and with the chord. It says C minor 7 flat 5. You understand? So it sounds technical, but it's literally telling you what to do. So you play a C minor 7 chord and you flatten the 5th note. That's all it's saying that you need to do. Coincidentally, or maybe not, but this chord has another name and it's called the half diminished chord, right? Now, this chord is a half diminished chord, and if you wanted to make it fully diminished, what you would do is this top note, which is the flat 7 or B flat, you would flatten that one. Now you have C diminished 7, right? So you have C minor 7 flat 5, and you flatten the flat 7, you end up with C diminished. Okay, so that's how that works. So now we have, what is it, 4 chords, 5 chords? C major 7, C dominant 7, C minor 7 flat 5, or C half diminished, C fully diminished, right? And those are the basic 4 note chords that we have. Now, what happens is, should I go on to the next thing or should I? Okay, let's go on to the next extensions and then we explain some stuff, right? This is a C major 7 chord as we have already established. Now you can still add more notes to this. You add a 9 to that, and it's 9 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, sorry, 9. C major 7, major 9. I'm sorry, C major 9. The diagram says C major 7, 9. It's the same thing. C major 9, right? Then you have the 11. Right? Now what happens with the 11 chords, is that what we typically do is that we omit the third, right? We would omit the third, and we would also use a flat 7. So it sounds like this. Right? Right? So it has that type of sound. That type of sound. Which, if you wanted to think about it, you could think about it as a B flat major chord, which is this. It's like a B flat over C. All right, that's another way of looking at it. B flat major chord. I know I didn't go through all the chords and what their names are and how they look and whatever, but that is kind of, that would be like too long. It would take a long, long time to do that, right? So just know that for 11th chord, it's like a B flat over C, you know? So this is C, technically this is C11, right? And what happens though in jazz, we would typically raise the 11th just to avoid this weird tension here. Hear that? That sounds weird, right? So what we do is
Excuse me, Chris, can you start over from there? I was kind of lost.
start over from where?
When you were flatting the 11th.
You mean sharpening it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is the 11th, okay? And I was saying that in jazz, we typically raise the 11th to avoid. All right, if you look at the chord, you realize that these notes in this chord are clashing. Hear that? So what we would typically do is raise this note to here. So now it sounds like, right? So it sounds a little bit cleaner. Right? So that's C9 sharp 11. Okay? Or we would use on the major 7 where we have the major 9, major 7 with the 9, we raise it, the F to an F, to the F sharp, which is the same thing we were doing in this case. We're doing it here again. So now we have C major 9 sharp 11. All right, so let me go back over that again. So you have C major 7, C major 9, C major 9 sharp 11. So you see, each time the chord is being named, it is literally telling you what to do with each note. You understand? So that's what it's all about. And this chord is a very pretty chord, right?
Hi, good night, Chris.
Yes, sir.
I came late. I was wondering if you would have or if you could touch just a little bit on the application of that chord.
No man, I will get into the application later on. I'll get to the application. I just want,
thank you.
yeah man, I'll get to the point of how you use these things and stuff like that. I probably should have said that, but yeah, I'll get to that point. But yeah, so this is right. And all I'm doing, I'm randomly playing all of the versions that chord exists in, right? So C major 9 sharp 11, C sharp major 9 sharp 11, so on, D, E, F, G. You understand? So that's all I'm doing. I'm just moving it around. So let's see. If we go back to the major 7 and the minor 7s, because I want to talk about the major 7 and minor 7 first. Major 7s and minor 7s, they're used a lot in pop music, and they're used a lot they're used in jazz as well, but music like that they're using. I mean, it's also used in gospel as well, but I mean, gospel is kind of more predominantly, if it's CCM, then it's going to be a different type of chord, versus if it's black gospel, then it's probably a different type of chord again, right? But so for pop music, because I'm going to do a pop song now, everybody knows this song. Everybody know that song. Alicia Keys, If I Ain't Got You, right? That song, that progression, which a progression is a movement of chords, right? It's what songs are built on. Um, that progression is literally just major sevens to minor sevens. The first one is a C major 7. Second one, B minor 7, A minor 7, G major 7. It's in G. So it starts on the 4 because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Very, 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 very basic, right? Yeah. So that song, as I said, consists of that type of chord, the major 7s and minor 7s, right? So if you're playing the song, you'd play like that. Now, one additional thing you could probably do if you're playing that song, or a progression of that liking, where you have major 7s, is that now that we know that you have major 7s as the basic, if you add another extension of the chord, which, as we said, the extensions are when you have what you're used to, which is the 7th chord, the major 7th chord, and you add a 9th to it, right? Now, if you add the 9th to this chord and you play the progression, which I don't know why you do this, but let's say you want it to be fancy. You could go adding the 9th. So I'm adding the 9th in each of these chords. Right? So each time I'm adding the 9th in each of those chords. Instead of playing it like I'm adding the 9th, which is this note. It's showing up as a 13. The reason why it shows up as a 13 is because 9, the 9th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you go up an octave, it's also called, it also has a different, another name to it, right? Right? So you have the major 7. Actually, here's where the 9 is. My bad. So the 9 is actually the note D. Right, that's where the 9 is. So this was the chord before. Now we put this note in there. Now the next one would be this one. This, you wouldn't put the 9th in this because it would be too weird. That would be kind of weird, right? So what you probably would do with this one is you could probably put let's see. You could probably put the sharp 11 in this one. Right? So you have the minor 9 there. But this is actually the 9th, right? So you have a minor 9 here. So you have, you add the 9th at the top. You add the 9th again. And add the 9th in this last one. So each time I'm adding the 9th. Okay? So let's go again. Sorry. C major 7 with the add 9. B minor 9. A minor 9. G major 9. Right? So that's one way of thinking about it. If you have a regular major 7 chord that you're playing, you can add extensions to the notes, to the chords, to make them fatter, as they say, you know. So yeah. So we're on G in this case. Let me just play that song a little bit, and I'll use regular chords first, and then I'll add extensions to the chords as I play. It's E minor. very simple chords, but it sounds nice, right? It sounds nice. Hopefully you guys agree with that. It sounds good. Why does it sound good? Well, part of the reason why it sounds good is the approach that I'm taking to playing it. I'm not playing it like... No, I'm not doing that because that's not, that's not appealing to the ear. It's not nice. So you have to treat it like... Every once in a while you play like a loud note. That, by the way, is a diminished chord. The diminished. Remember we talked about the diminishes? The diminish when it was this. So now this is G sharp diminished. Right? Diminished 7. And then you go to A minor 7. D7, right? Hopefully we know, hopefully for the keyboard players, you guys know how to play that already. And stuff like that. Chords. It's just... It's all that is, right? Now what you can do to make them prettier, as I said, you add the extensions of the chords, right? So you go, for example, you go... It's very subtle, but it fatten it up a little bit. Look at this voicing. This voicing is really nice. Of an A minor 11, right? Look at it. So you have G, A, G, C, E, C, D, G. Right? A minor 11. There you go. Here it is again. Right? Okay. So things like that some of the things you can do to kind of change it up a little bit. A lot of people won't notice because why? You have the melody at the top, which is very important. When you have a singer and that is singing and stuff, and you're playing along to that, you have to be mindful of the chords that you choose, because choosing the wrong chord could easily throw the singer off. So you guys have to be mindful of that. And how you're mindful of that, or how you know when to whatever, is what is the melody doing. That is why I would encourage every keyboard player, musician, whatever, learn the melody of the songs that you play. Be aware of what the melody is doing each time. I have an ability, blessed with an ability, humbly, to be able to know what the melody is doing and to be able to use chords in strange ways because I'm aware of where the melody is at all times. Because I try my best to know that. And sometimes you won't know note for note everything, every in, every out of the melody, but you'll know that where it's around. So even if a singer sings something and they're being all fancy, if they do something like that, you know what to do because you're there. You're keeping it right there, Right? That is... Right? Right, so what I did there, so it's like a major 7, but I sharpen the 11 or flat the 5, and then I go up to the 5. Right? That's just a little thing to do. You wouldn't do that unless they did something to kind of imply that type of thing. That type of song. Right? You might not do that like that. What if they did right? Make it subtle and you move on, So those are some ideas you can probably use and stuff like that. the takeaway from that is that the melody informs a lot. The melody is one of the things that's gonna say, what can I and can I not do. It takes practice. It's not something you can just get up and do just like that. It takes a lot of practice, and it takes learning the songs and their melodies and how you can manipulate them and stuff like that, right? Um, I don't know how many guys here are like church musicians and stuff, so I can probably use like a church, using a church example or a church context or whatever. But let's say you're playing, let's see, I don't know, give me a church song. Let's see. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Let's see if that works. Of course, you're gonna say "as the deer," right? Right. So the first thing I say, "as the deer." As the deer panted for the water, so my soul longeth after thee. That's pretty basic, right? So as the deer panted for. So notice I'm playing simple chords. The chords are super simple, but there's just something weirdly pretty about them. And as I said, part of it is the touch. Notice this chord again. Remember this? That was in the other key. It's back again, right? A minor 11, voiced like this, right? Okay. So it just gives it a prettier sound when you have certain notes being put together in this type of form, like, and it gives a CCM type of sound, like. That type of sound, right? Right? So, as the deer panted for the waters, G minor 7, C7, for my soul longeth after thee. Right? Very simple, but nice. Okay? So, so that type of stuff can sound really good. It's not always about the fat chords and the crazy movement. Sometimes you can have simple stuff that sounds good like that. Simple. Maybe what you can do is, I see someone is saying. Hold on, I see someone saying something. I think. Yes. Okay. Good. Right. So close that. And now something what you can do, since we know it normally goes. What if you kept the chords the same in the right hand, but you changed the bass note? So what I did different, I played the same right hand chords, but I changed the bass note to an E. That gives me an E minor 7. Right? And then I'm back to A minor 7. Another thing I want to mention is the way you look at chords, I think, which gets into how I look at chords. I look at chords in different ways. And I probably should have mentioned this in the initial when I was going through the 4th note chords. But this chord right here, C major 7, is when you look at it, you say C major 7, and that's probably all you say. But if you look closer, you realize that if you remove that note, you have an E minor. So you could technically think that a C major 7 chord is an E minor with a C in it. You understand that? So you have E minor with the C, that's C major 7. What that means is if I invert the E minor, then I'll get different sounds in the context of C. understand that? All I'm doing is inverting E minor by arranging the notes, right? And going upward with it. Now, that becomes more interesting when you get to like these types of chords, like the C minor 9. I think of it as you have a E minor here, but you also have a G major as well. E minor, G major. So now you have, I'm sorry, do that again. Over that sound, right? Now where it gets really nice now, really nice, is when you reach to the sharp 11. Right? You think of that now, you have E minor in it, you have G major in it, and you also have B minor in it. So now any inversion of these three chords over C gives me a different sound again. Right? 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 So it gives me a different sound. And that's just basic. That's just the basic. But I'm inverting each of those chords each time. Right? So it gives me a different sound. Okay? So I just wanted to mention that. To say that the different ways you look at simple stuff can give you a different type of sound, an interesting sound. Right? Now if you talk about inversions now of even like major 7 chords, because we talked about the inversion of the C. We talked about those inversions, but we didn't talk about the major 7s and their inversions. Right? So C, E, G, B, E, G, B, C, back to the first one. Those are the inversions. So it would sound like right? Now it's starting to sound pretty, but it's basic stuff that just sound pretty, right? Sorry. Now where it gets weird is when you start talking about the extensions again. The 9th, right? Because now you have let's see. You guys hear how pretty that sounds? Well, hopefully. Right? And let me play. Here's an interesting thing. I'm going to play all of that over C, and you'll see that it's called the same thing each time, right? Hopefully. Then you have the C major 7 or C major 9. C major 7 9, let's call it that. C major 7 9. Right? I go up the inversion. C major 7 9 again. It's called the same thing. Going up the inversion. Same thing it's called again. You understand? So that's what it is. Alright? So those are the main the major 9s. Sharp 11s. Oh boy, it's gonna be hard. Alright, so let's see. We have see, now it's getting really weird, right? Because I'm inverting it each time I go up. I'm just switching the notes around basically. But not that one. That's not in it, right? Right? Now, when you get to what I didn't mention before is the 13th, because we have a sharp 11, we also have a 13th, which is the A. And it's 13 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Once you have the 13, now you start realizing that you have many chords within that chord again. Right? You have C major, of course, E minor, G major, B minor, and D major. So being that you have all those chords within that, if you sustain the C, you have stuff like this. Right? And it's because I'm using all the notes within that particular chord, but I'm arranging them differently. And if you ask me how I'm arranging them, I probably can't tell you necessarily, because it's in the case of doing stuff like it's kind of a little bit random in terms of going between some of these stuff. But what I can tell you is that there are times I'm thinking G, then I'm thinking D major, then I'm thinking E minor, D major again, G major, D, E, right? And so I'm thinking all of these things while I'm just in this key. Now, this might not seem very applicable, but it actually is, certainly if you're ending a song, you know, and it has like this note as the ending note or something, or this, you know, so let's say you go, as the deer panted for water, so and so long and dirty. Alone on my heart, as I ran along to worship you, and I long. Let's say the singer went crazy and did like, to worship you, and I long to worship you. That's the sharp 11 zone, right? Right? And you do like that. But that's only if they did that though, you know, because it typically ends on a to worship you. But once it ends on that, you want to do that. Unless you want to add the 9, but add it lower in the octave. Because the melody note is the top note, which is what you're already playing. To worship you, that sounds better, right? So you wouldn't put it here above the melody because it would sound weird. To worship you. It sounds okay enough, but you could put it a little bit further down to give it this sound. Right? And maybe you could add the 3rd and the 6th in it as well. Right? To give it this sound. And I long to worship you. And this chord is a C6-9. Right? C6-9. There it is. Alright? C, E, A, D, G. You add the C at the top. Just to kind of solidify the sound of worship you. That. Right? So it's and I long to worship you. You could probably end it like that. There are many more examples, many more things. I just wanted to show you guys, for one, how the basics, because notice I started from the basic, and I kind of showed you guys that all of this stuff, this pretty stuff, it comes from knowing the basic, you know. And yes, people are able to play and not know theory and not know the basic stuff and stuff like that. But I think it's a lot more interesting when you can figure out what's actually going on. Excuse me. Behind the music and behind the chords and stuff, because a lot of it is simple stuff, especially if you know the basic of, you can go a far way, stuff like that. And this, all of this that I've just done, by the way, is just based on minor sevens and major sevens. We haven't even spoken about diminished sevens. We haven't spoken about the half diminished and stuff like that. And all of those inversions, it's a whole thing. It really, it's a lot of stuff to kind of cover within a short time. But what I would probably want to do now, if this is okay with Sir Bailey, I would want to probably open for some questions. Is that okay, Sir Bailey?
Yes. Let's do that, Chris.
All right. Yes. Any questions you guys have pertaining to this stuff or anything chord related? That'd be awesome. Don't all ask at once now.
Right. Chris, just take off your screen for 1 minute.
Okay. Hold on. There you go.
Okay. All right. So we have TJ,
Yes.
Yashan. All right, guys. I really respect and appreciate you for this. All right. We are building a brand, and this is a Jamaican brand, and it's not something that is going to be unique to Jamaicans. It's going to go all over the world, and want to show everybody, the entire world, that Jamaicans can do things structured. All right. So I'm going to ask you now to open up your mics, and you're going to ask with the raising of your hands. All right, TJ.
Yes. All right. So, good night, Chris, the legend. Uh, you went through a few stuff tonight that, to be honest, been keyword for 8 years, 5 years of my music life. You teach me in a one. But I realized that you use a lot of broken chords or broken melodies. And you invert them quite a lot. So mobile gives us a little like a modulation feel. It feels like you're modulating between a whole different things or doing a whole different types of runs. But could you expound on the arpeggiation of inversions a little bit more?
Okay. Let's see. Well, I mean, a lot of it is feel. It's making the music interesting, because if you play chords like when you learn, when you're taught in school or whatever to practice chords, you're taught to practice it like this, you know.
So basically, you should practice chords in inversions.
Yeah, that's normally how you're taught how to do your thing. But when you're playing music, you have to make that musical. So you make it musical by making it move. You know what I mean? So even if I'm playing just that progression and I'm doing it as a practice exercise, I would be like. So all I'm doing there, I'm going between E minor and D major. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of a way of kind of doing that, but that's only in a practice type of
Oh.
context. If you're
Oh.
playing, you probably wouldn't do that much stuff. if you start doing
Yeah.
too much of that when you're actually playing for someone or whatever, it can come across as being too much. Yeah.
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 So, so based on the voicings that you use, is that pertaining to the melody line of the song or just a normal feel?
It's rooted in the melody because the voicing I use is always kind of based on the melody. Um, yeah, it's based on the melody. As the deer panted for the waters of my soul. See, I can add this note because it's still. Oh wait, let me. I probably should let you guys see what I'm talking about. Let's see. Right. Here we go. As the deer the chord is this, right? Well, normally people play this. Soul, but that sound bland. So I add the major
Yeah.
and then I add maybe the ninth, the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah, to kind of pull it up a little bit. Or I could
Yeah.
add ninth too. So you can add notes like nines and 11s to regular chords and make them sound kind of fatter. All right. So well, all right. What I want to say though, guys. Like, so we're going to allow with respect. We're going to allow the most 2 questions per person, so that other people can have a chance to ask. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll give somebody else another chance to ask a question. If that's that's
Yeah,
okay.
man.
Respect, TJ.
Yes.
All
Chris,
right.
Bailey, I have a
Yes,
question
Jake.
from a viewer online.
Somebody from
His
YouTube.
question, yeah, Andrew Scott.
Okay.
He's asking Chris, how do you approach reharm?
That's a whole other. Reharm is actually a whole other thing. Sir Chris, am I allowed to say what you told me?
Yes, man. Answer the questions, Chris.
Well, not that. The whole thing about the arrangement aspect of stuff that you wanted me to possibly.
Oh, you want? Yes, man. Please do. Please do.
Cause okay, so here's the thing. Reharmonization is a whole thing in and of itself. That um, because technically what I was doing a while ago was reharmonization. In a sense, it's just that it's very broad. It can't be described in a sentence, not even in a paragraph. It's just a whole bunch of different ways you can approach it. The simplest thing I can tell you is to say the word substitutions. And what a substitution is basically where you substitute one chord for another chord. So let's say I'm playing as the deer, right? That's 1 to 5 or 1 to 5 over 3 or whatever, right? But I could have started it like this. That is reharm because I've taken what was known as the regular progression, which is 1, 5, 6, and I've gone 4, 3, 2 over the melody. You understand? So that's kind of reharm. But doing that is based on the fact that it still works. You understand? So there are many options and things, and you can get. I mean, obviously, you can get lost in it. Countless. It's just a matter of it's a matter of another concept which I like to explore, which is every note works with every chord. Okay, that didn't come out right. There's a chord for every note. There's a possible chord for every melody note. Okay, I've heard of a concept that people talk about where they say there's no such thing as a wrong note. I understand why they say that, because even if you play a note, there's a way out of it. right? Let me give you an example of that now. So I'm playing. How can I do this? Let's see. Let's say I go. Let's say I go. That sounds wrong, right? So let me do it again. No, it sounds right. See that? Because I corrected it. I didn't stay there. I kind of resolved it. So
Yes.
you understand that? So that all of that is reharm, and it's based on knowing how to correct things, knowing where the issue is also in relation to the melody. But you have to know the melody to know how far away you are from the melody at that particular point. But as I said, and even though I just spoke for like how long, that is not even the half of it. But next question.
All right. We have Javon Mackenzie.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mackenzie.
Yes, yes. Good day, Chris. All right. So my first question, is the type of sounds that you use, and my next question would be arranging. But I heard that you were going to answer that question already.
No, well, I want to do a separate, if it is possible, I'd like to do a separate Zoom thing at another date and
Okay.
dedicate that to arranging. In terms of
Okay.
sound, I use piano sounds, Rhodes, stuff like that, strings.
What type of synth do you use? Because I've been listening to like Jermaine Edwards song like "Beautiful Day" and Rondell Positive, and I've heard that one synth sound always held beside of the EP2 that you always use.
Okay, I think I don't remember exactly, but the sounds are in the motif though, for sure.
Okay, okay,
Synths that are in the motif. I think one is called the trance hook, or something like that, and one is called big comp. Yeah, so it sounds like that,
okay.
but find whatever sound works for you and stuff like that, because that's what is a good idea to do. Because otherwise, you just you're not
Thank you.
exploring. So yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, man.
All right. Bless up. Nikolai Brooks. Nikolai Brooks.
Starbucks. Going once, going twice.
All right. Let's take Maurice. Maurice. Jermaine.
Hello. All right.
Whoa, they're not hearing us. Jermaine. Adil.
Are there any other online questions? Maybe in the meantime.
Yeah, J Keys. You see any online questions out there? Kevin Nelson.
No, bro.
Yes, sir.
Maurice M.
I think. Wait. Oh wait. Guys, remember you have to unmute your mics
Whoa, whoa.
because I see Kevin's hand is up, but his mic wasn't unmuted. So just
All right.
unmute your mics so that you can.
Yeah, Chris.
Yes, Kevin.
Yes, Jermaine. This is
Oh, wait.
Jermaine now.
Yeah,
No,
Chris.
I think this is
Yeah.
Kevin actually. Is it?
No, this is Kevin. That wasn't Kevin just a while ago.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Oh, Kevin, you want to go or you want me to go?
All right, let me just ask quick.
All right, go on.
Go. When would you consider you're playing too much in terms of chording? Sometimes people say that chord, even though it works, is just too much. When would you
When
classify.
when you're playing and everyone looks at you, like, dude, really? It's probably time. Okay, I probably need to call it quits and thing and thing. As well as some things you can just feel, some things you can just know. We were having a very interesting conversation last night about a young man that another musician came into a room, and of course we're not calling him, and he got intimidated and stuff, and he started to go in like like, yeah, he wants to impress the guy, and he ended up basically flopping himself because he was so bent on trying to
Impress.
press and stuff like that. So sometimes it's just keep it simple, stick to what you know, and do what you do. I mean, the thing about arrangements and fancy stuff is when it comes placement, timing, that
Mhm.
type of stuff is important because it makes things interesting. I mean, the other thing is that people's perspective on what is too much is gonna differ. Um,
True.
Musicians tend to like excitement and stuff like that. So we will be more welcoming to reharms and syncopations and and da, 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 da. But the average person might be like, okay, they don't understand what's going on. So you have to kind of, I guess, find a balance between pleasing your own need or your own musical taste and kind of pleasing the listener, the average listener and stuff. You find a balance between those two things, and that is actually something we all need to apply in every aspect of music and our creativity, because especially if we expect our music to probably have commercial success and whatever, you have to kind of find that balance between skill and soul, which is something I can say Jermaine Edwards it's something that he always speaks to us about.
Mhm.
Just the balance between skill and soul is very, very important. So if you find that balance, then it might be a little difficult for people to say, "Oh, that's just too much," because you know your placements and you know when to do what and stuff like that, and it normally comes across good. So yeah,
Okay, respect, bro.
okay. I can we can go to Germany now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Chris. So the song As the Deer, I realize when you were playing that song and you say you were playing simple. Even though you were playing simple, it sounded very pretty.
Right.
So what I'm saying is it the dynamics, the approach, or the feel cause it to sound that pretty because even though you were playing very simple
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the choice of chords, it was very nice.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's several things. It's the feel, the approach, the touch. How I'm playing each note and stuff. Um, right. But it's also how the particular notes that I'm sort of embellishing at different points, and
Mm-hmm.
how I'm playing. Like I was describing to you. You have a major chord, and that sounds nice. You add a nine to it, it sounds prettier, right?
Right.
So, and also the other thing I'm doing also, which I didn't mention, I'm going between close chords and chords
Mm-hmm.
that are far apart.
Okay.
So there are some chords that are close and some that are far.
Okay.
So I'm going between. You understand?
Yes, yeah.
So that type of treatment plus the touch plus the volume and all of that stuff. And if you need to get
Okay.
intense, you can get intense. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So
All right.
all of those things going together, working
Enough
together.
respect, brother. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Chris, when we use an augmented chord?
I can tell you the simplest example. To God be the glory. So to God. That's it. That's the simplest thing. So what I used it to do is to transition into the 4 chord. So the 4 major 7. So that's the simplest way to use it, right? And you can even use it as so it's kind of like you're using it as a passing chord. Even though it's independent, it's like its own thing, its own chord at the same time. But you're kind of using it to go to, right? Right. There are other voicings of chords that have augmented characteristics to them, like this one. In the context of like, okay, so I'm in the key of F, where I'm using it to go to the 4 again, but as like a 3 vibe. Well, I can go to the 4, or I can go to the 6. 1, 6. Right? So I can use it in that context too. And honestly, everything that I'm answering, guys, is really basic, because I feel like to go too much advanced with it, you kind of be lost. But that's a basic time you can use it. Go into a 3, go into a 4, or go into a 6. Right? You can also, okay, I'll give you one more. You have 1. So what I did now, I went to the flat 3, right? Where I make it become a 13. So this is actually A flat 13 or A flat or G sharp 13, right? So how you would do that is if you're using now as a passing chord to go to the 2, then the 5, then the 1. Okay, so for whatever reason you would need to do that. But that's how you can use it too. Yeah.
Sweet. Do you do online lessons?
I actually want to start doing that. But if you guys just keep up with my page, and I will sort that out. Once that's sorted out, then it'll be posted, and then we can get into that stuff. But yeah, it's coming.
Thank you.
Can I take an online question?
Sure, yeah.
Nate of all trades, that's the person's YouTube name. How do you practice to have consistent improvement, and what should you practice?
How do you practice to have consistent improvement? Wait. Say that again. Say the question again.
All right, so the person said, how do you practice to have consistent improvement, and what should you practice?
Okay. Consistent improvement. Well, I think that's a balance between playing, like keep playing, keep up to date. Like exercise. If the minute you stop exercising after a long period of exercising, that's when you start seizing up muscle. So you have to be consistent by just keep doing it. That's kind of how you think. In terms of improvement, no, improvement to me would suggest that one would need to move from where you were last. which means that you have to kind of acquire new things, things that test you, things that kind of challenge your thinking and challenge your ability. Learn them, and then now you've learned something. And I've always said, whenever you learn something, it's okay to learn it um, in chunks, in little bits and pieces, as opposed to like trying to take on a big thing, a big chunk of music or a big section of or a whole song or whatever. You kind of taking bits, pieces, and stuff like that. In Jamaica, we have a saying, every mickle make a muckle. You know what I mean? So we can't be too hard on the mickles just because you want a muckle. Mickles are just as important as the muckles are. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's important to just take your time, practice, learn, be consistent, because the things and something I haven't heard a lot of people say is it's okay to practice to it's okay to play the things you already know. A lot of times people say don't keep playing things you know and whatever. And I understand why they would say that. And that is cool as well because you want to grow. It's just that you don't stay there where you just don't learn anything new. But it's okay to flex. It's okay to just sit down and play. And those are things I know. What did I just do? I cannot tell you. But I have spent so much time just playing the things I know that I can just I can subconsciously kind of draw for them at any point in time because I just know where they are, you know what I mean? So I always, try to do that. I just play. And I know these things, and so I can access them, and that keeps me consistent because I work with them, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, all right. One more question from the online. Sorry. From a singer's perspective, this is what the person is asking. I heard when you were singing and changing the melody, like adding ninth and seventh in the melody and playing the appropriate chords at the same time. Right. How does one get to that level?
If you're talking about playing while singing, I don't know if you play, person who's asking, but okay. I'm kind of weird. I'm weird in the sense where I was kind of born with some weird talent stuff that is just I don't know, I can't understand it. But so what happens is for me, I'm naturally able to know what the heck I'm playing every time. When melodically and chordically, if that's a word. I don't think it's a word, but we'll work with it for now. Right? So I didn't necessarily practice like I didn't practice that. I just know what it sounds like in my head and I can reproduce it. For maybe a singer that probably doesn't know how to do that or plays, you can do it slower. As the deer panted for the water, so my soul longed after thee. You alone, all my heart desire, and I long to worship you. You understand? You can do stuff like that. But as to how you would hear that stuff, no. Man, I don't know what to tell you. It's just a matter of, because that was obviously sounds very jazzy, right? So that is as a result of the music that you listen to probably. If you listen to music that approach singing in a certain way, then you can take from that those styles of music, certain things that you can apply to maybe something that you're gonna be performing more, and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, I would always encourage also every singer to please and thanks buy a keyboard, learn keyboard. It helps immensely. Buy a keyboard, please. If you can, learn keyboard, learn basic chords. Learn the basic chords and stuff like that. You understand? But yeah, so yeah, you can do stuff like that. You know, just try and sit down, try things, listen to different styles of music, how they approach certain things, and yeah, maybe that will help you. Hopefully. Any other question?
Chris,
Yes, sir.
yeah man, all day, Wagwan.
Bossy, welcome.
Bless up. Um, you were talking about the over the CA, you go through the different you know, chords, E minor, G, B minor, D major.
Right.
Do you, I wouldn't say not necessarily for reharm, but do you think in context of the chords? Like you just leave the bass to basic and you just think in context of E minor, G major, B minor, D major.
No.
Okay.
Well, yes and no. Um, the thing is, a lot of things I person, of course, you're asking me. So personally, personally, I don't think a lot when I play. I feel based on what I'm feeling.
Okay.
I do something based on what I'm feeling. I'm not necessarily thinking, is this theoretically correct? It's like something in me says it is. Something in me says I know it's going to be correct. I mean, I don't want to make it sound as if I don't make mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? But at the same time, that that constant awareness of what the melody is doing and what chords and what the degrees of the scale are and everything, it allows me the freedom to be kind of free in doing what I want to do, um, without even thinking about what scale it is I am playing or what, you know, whatever it is. Sometimes it's a feeling and it's just a confidence in knowing what's going on in the melody. So I know, and then you probably know this audio, but there are which I guess I'll say it then to the others, to everyone else. There are things you do where you have this one note and it can be this one note means a million things. One note. One note mean it could mean C. Right? Oh wait, let me do this thing.
But I did really ask for everybody still, because we know you're not gonna think about all of that. But we just did ask so people could have probably, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just feel and what you feel like you want to do. What is but you choose what makes the decisions right is the time that you would have spent and sit and worked out everything so that you don't have to think about the theory.
Right, beautiful. Okay.
Yeah. Right. But what I was so thanks audience for that question. What I was going to say is this thing where you have this note that is C. It could be in C in 1, but it could mean the 3 in A flat.
Right.
Right. Flat 7 in F sharp and C sharp. The sharp 11 in F sharp. The minor 11 in G. You know, it could be this thing in B. Right? It could be let's see. E flat. Right? That kind of thing where one note means a million things. So that is something you sit down and you practice. So that when you hear someone sing, you practice that so you know that those will probably work. And then of course, based on the key that you're actually in, those chords will be relative to that key. So yeah. That's pretty much it.
All right.
Chris.
Thanks.
Yeah, big up.
Chris.
Really?
Well, go on, Papa.
I
I have a question for you.
In the context of a band, right? How do you approach soloing? And I know you're heavily influenced by drum, rhythm patterns and stuff like that. But what exactly do you listen for when you're going to construct and execute a solo?
Um, a solo. Well, first things first. A solo is your time to shine. It doesn't mean that you're not going to listen to other people. Of course, you're going to listen, but it's okay to shine in a solo. It's okay to set the vibe. It's okay to know that my time now. You know what I mean? And so, but one of the things, what the main thing you want to be mindful of though is what is the progression. What is the progression of the song? I think that's probably one of the most important things. Um, well, certainly if you're soloing in a way in which you want it to be maybe understandable or kind of relatable, not so super weird, because you can go weird like whatever. But that anybody won't react to that in a way in which they'll be like, wow, that's whatever. It just sounds like a bunch of notes, you know what I mean? But if you're thinking, so if I think about the progression and staying melodic and stuff like that, then you end up with Alright, so let me give you an example. Like I'm playing, you know that song there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so if I'm thinking about the chords and I'm playing, so you notice it's almost like you're hearing the progression as I'm playing, right?
Right, right.
Right, so you're thinking, okay, progression, and the other thing is, depending on what the band is doing, if the drummer does like, if the drummer does like,
Right.
you can feed off that type of vibe, and so you can listen out for stuff like that as well. But it is your time to shine, so you can shine.
All right. Respect, Papa.
Man.
Yes, sir.
Uh, we have four more questions, Chris, and Fancy is waiting. So we're just gonna take four more questions and then allow Fancy to sing. All right? Is that good?
Are you wait? What time? 8, 9, 10. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
man.
Cool. Yeah, that's fine.
So we have Maurice, the guy, Migoy.
Yeah, man, Maurice is here.
All right, Maurice.
Yeah, man, greetings, guys. One thing, thanks for the knowledge. Yeah. My question, though, I guess Chris was touching on a couple of the points. I was going to ask him about passing cards and stuff like that. But let me change up my question a little bit. All of us are not going to be at the same level. Obviously, you're a professional musician, Edna trained, stuff like that. And I am a guy who just loves the piano, keyboards, and I'm married. I have less time on my hands. How do I get everything in a practice session with the time that I have? How would you encourage a musician like me?
Well, I would say you have to kind of evaluate and figure out, why is it that you want to pursue this thing that is, music or playing music, playing the piano, whatever, whatever. I would say something that it might sound a little controversial. I'm not sure, but just because someone loves something doesn't always mean they should pursue it. Um, I think it's relative to the person, and you kind of have to assess. Okay, is this thing going to be worth my time? Am I just stressing out myself for nothing type of thing? Um, or is this something that I feel like it can actually be useful to me? So if maybe like if you see yourself pursuing a musical career one day, then that's fine. In which case, you would need to start start simple and practice as much as you can because you're busy. You have, as I said, wife, maybe kids, whatever. So you practice as much as you can, from the practice the basics as much as you can within the time you can. Um, I think they say we should practice what, 2 to 4 hours a day or whatever, and that's true. That statistics say that, but we all know that sometimes based on how things are set up in our life or how our lives are set up, we can't always practice as long as we would want to. But that does not mean that you can't get some practice in. And once you can get it in, once you can get the practice time in, then get the practice time in. If it's 15 minutes, it's 15 minutes. Just make sure that within that 15 minutes, you learned something, which means do your research, therefore. Look up. Like, honestly, when I was coming up on playing and growing up and music and stuff like that, there wasn't any YouTube at that time. It really wasn't, and I had to learn everything by sitting down, listening to music, and picking out every note one by one. So all of these fat chords, whatever they are, all of that, I had to figure that out. I had to basically just sit down and say, okay, whatever. I had to figure that stuff out. But of course, I had the time to do it. So if you can make the time to learn things simple and build, take time, build, then you can reach to a point where, you can say, oh, okay, I have learned something and stuff like that. But I go back to saying at the initial thing, you have to assess first, is this worth my time? Why am I doing this? Is this something I can actually pursue? Or am I just doing this because I just really love it? Which is fine. Like I said, it's totally fine to do that. But if it's becoming stressful to you, then it's okay that you maybe love a thing, but you can't probably, have the time to do it. It is what it is. If it's gonna drive you crazy, though, you probably should try and pursue it.
Yeah, man. Respect for the answer, man. I appreciate it.
Respect.
Good night. My question was kind of answered already because a lot of questions were answered, and I think I got my answer already.
Okay, so can we have another question?
Awesome. Yes, Wayne.
We have a question, yeah. Wayne?
Wayne?
Remember, once your name call, you can unmute.
Yeah, man. Big up, Edwin Allen. Big up. So we stay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yes, man. Yes, Wayne.
Yeah, man. All right. I have a question for Mr. Wright. In terms of turnaround, are you gonna do a lesson on turnarounds, on the keys?
I can do it now. Turnarounds. It's just kind of extending the ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so you can do that any way you want to, basically. One easy way of doing a turnaround is, well, the most simple one is like, and I long, what's the key? Okay, and I long to worship you, and I long to worship you, and I long to worship you, and I long. So you see what I did there? Kind of weird, eh?
Yeah.
So all I did was I'm playing the same turnaround, which is 6 to 5 to the 2, but the 2 is major, right? I'm in E flat. You play, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. 6, 5, 2, and I long 2 minor, 2 or 5, shape you, da da da. I'm in E flat, now I'm going a tone up, and I long to worship you, come back, and I love to the original kid, I was like, to worship you. That's an interesting way to do a turnaround because maybe this is expected. Of course, once again, these things are situational, meaning you don't just do it when a singer is singing. You will throw
Yeah,
them.
because I listened to a couple of your turnarounds when I listened to Jermaine videos, and I was like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, all of that, most of that is based on, well, one, being given the freedom to do that in the first place.
Okay.
And two is knowing the melody, knowing your freedoms and restrictions based on the melody. And knowing what those freedoms and restrictions are is based on a knowledge of the melody at all times, which you can know if you practice the melody of the songs that you're playing.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully that answers.
All right, thank you very much, man. I'll be able to talk.
Yeah, man. Bless up, Win.
All right.
Me go.
You
You've
have
been
a
waiting a
request, you
while.
know.
Chris, we can go till 10. What is this? Is that too late?
Huh?
Can we go till 10?
No, man. What I'm gonna do now, Chris?
I'm here.
Hold up. Who is this? What I'm gonna do, Chris? If you don't mind, I'm going to give you a rest. If you don't mind, and allow Fancy then ask you to sort of chill with the guys. Is that cool?
Chill with the guys, as in.
I mean, spend another half an hour, if.
Oh, you mean after after Fancy does his thing? You mean?
Right.
Yeah, man. That's no problem, cause.
All right. So guys, just hold it. We want to let Fancy through. Yeah. But I'm gonna take two more questions. One from Edward and Drumz. Me guy has his hand up. I don't know what's happening with me guy. But let's take Eddie.
Yes, sir, Chris.
Yes.
Chris, I've been on my mic and talk.
What?
We're not hearing from me guy. Something.
I'm not sure whose mic that is, but it's.
That's me guy.
Go ahead.
Chris, you hear me?
No, repeat the question. Repeat your question.
You're not hearing me, Chris.
Yeah, I hear you now. All right, guys. Yeah, all right, here's the thing. If you speak, well, if I'm not hearing you shouting. So yeah, you can just are you hearing me? You don't have to shout it. You understand what I mean? Because more than likely, if we are hearing you, no, we're not. Well, it kind of started. Not sure why.
There's something wrong with this.
All right, somebody is going to ask the question.
More time, I lightning.
Okay.
All right, let's take Edward. Guys, please pay attention to me. Please pay attention, all right? Edward?
Yes, sir, Chris. Greetings.
Go ahead, Edward.
Yes, sir, Edward.
Yes, sir, Chris Bailey and Chris Wright. Blessings. Yeah,
Blessing,
man.
Edward.
Yeah, man. Chris, I know you a long time, and I know you're gifted. I know you play long before you go into Enderman. What are the influences? What made you a better keyboardist, so to speak, if you find yourself a better keyboardist, graduating from Edna Manley, opposed to your earlier training?
Oh, so what did Edna do for me, basically?
Yeah, basically.
So what Edna did for me, I would say, is it helped in terms of thinking more theoretically, thinking more strategically, thinking more intentional in the way I play, being understanding more what it is I was doing or I'm doing as I play. And these are just to name a few. I mean, you meet new people, you meet people that you form friendships with and stuff like that. So there's that as well. So that's how it kind of did that. Provided opportunities for me. In a sense, the first time I did the jazz and blues thing on the small stage was as a result of being at Edna Manley and being recommended to do the audition. I did it, got through, got perform and stuff like that. So being in the right place at the right time, right people, type of vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are some of the stuff that I did.
All right, final question from Drum Boss, and then we will go over to Fancy. Drum Boss.
Yeah, man, greetings. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, greetings, Chris. Just asking, are there any, could you suggest any exercises that, could use to, build or dexterity or, whatever I call it now? Yeah, dexterity or improvisations, so to speak.
Well, I mean, I don't have any, but there are tons that exist online. I mean,
Yeah, you could,
and
yeah.
and as a I have to know you're an student, sir.
Yes, sir.
And as such, I know that you guys are given a lot of material when it comes to exercise. Well, I'm assuming you do jazz thing there. You guys are given a lot of stuff like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Those are exercises that you can use, to kind of build stuff like that, or where I'm just going up the major scale, the minor scale, and stuff like that. Practicing in semitones, also practicing in thirds, and practicing in fourths, and stuff like that. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, you're in this key of C. I go up a fourth, so now I'm in F. Then I go up a fourth in B flat, right? And so on and so forth. So everything you do, every line that you learn it in every key. That's the other thing. Learn it in every key. Understand? You learn it in every key.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. There we have it. Sir Chris.
Sir Chris. That's funny.
On behalf of the Music Hacks Network, I would like to sincerely thank you, sir.
Thank you too, sir.
For your humility.
Blessings.
All right. As I said, you were here with us from last night in soundcheck.
Yeah.
And you're still here up to today. You were here, still helping us with the soundcheck, and you're quite helpful.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being so humble in accepting the invitation. And I'm sure the guys have benefited a lot from this presentation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I am going to ask you humbly to not to leave, just to spend another couple of minutes with them after Fancy's presentation.
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right, guys. So we are doing well. We are doing extremely well. The thing is structured, and we are putting out good material out there so the world can watch from Jamaica, and that is my intention. All right, guys. Respect. All right.
I'll be back later, guys. Blessings.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, man.
Fancy.
Yeah, Chris.
Are you ready, bro?
I don't know, bro.
You must be ready, man. All right, let's see what's going on with your audio.
The Zoom thing, yeah, kind of rough, so I could see it go.
All right, if it doesn't work out with the drum audio, then we're gonna go straight into some Q&A, okay?
All right, so first of all,
that's fine. Fancy?
No, man, we can try the drum thing and see it work out. I could just play that track and get it over with, you know?
Not a problem.
All right, so everybody hear that track there?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
based on the topic, enjoying the pocket. So I might do. There's a solo section in this track, but I might do a little soloing. So yeah, so just bear with me. We'll stick to the topic. See?
Solo, my brother, solo.
Levels alright?
Yeah.
Come on, you're fine.
Cool.
We not hear Fancy?
Everybody good with track?
Fancy, you doing well, man. Keep it up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so
Fancy, we have lost your video feed.
video.
Yeah.
Alright, so what about the audio?
Audio is good. Try
Alright,
turn on the camera.
alright. I guess I guess that's it though.
Alright. Are you able to turn on the video?
I'll try the video from this angle.
All right, awesome.
Alright,
All
so
right, Sir Fancy Drummer, Fancy Drums.
yeah, so give thanks again. Hope
Awesome,
you guys
awesome,
enjoy
awesome.
that track. I got a bit cold and a long waiting, so you know what I mean?
It was a good showing, bro. All right, guys, let's go to the Q&A.
We want more.
Fancy Drum is
No, no,
center
We
no,
want
no,
stage.
more.
no. You have to understand, say
One
we in
more
a
time.
community and other people gonna them bed already. So
All right, bro.
All right, let's see the hands. Matthew?
no,
Actually, Sir Chris, what we could do,
Oh, yes, Chris.
we could do a Q&A for both of us, like, say if anybody,
Okay.
if
yeah,
you guys
yeah,
want
yeah.
to ask,
All right, let me see your video feed, Chris.
okay, yeah, there's that too.
No, it's fine. Look how the light turn on. Look at me. Eh?
All right, since Chris, I think Chris, I don't know what's happening, but who is that? Mackenzie, you can go ahead and ask a question.
Okay, this is for Chris. So, I didn't really get the passing chord part, and also I want to find out about the circle of fifth.
When you say don't, you didn't get the passing chord part. What does that mean?
I mean, like you were like demonstrating your ways of passing, like with the augmented chord.
Okay.
I wanted to know like how different, other than the augmented chord, how different chords, passing chords work, and how the circle of fifth also worked for you.
Well, passing chords is just okay. So there's a let's say there's a specific. You guys can still hear the keyboard, right? Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. So yeah. Wait. Let me share the screen. So a passing chord is just basically a chord in between a chord um or a chord in between two chords. So you're going from, for instance, you're going from 1 to 4, right? But before you go to the 4, you go maybe 3, something like that, or right where I went to 6, then 2, then 3. But the 6 is just a regular 6, regular 3, and then the 4. So that's an example. A simple example of a passing chord, right? Or which is 3, 2, 4. So see that? So it's just any way you want to go that is in context with the C, in context at the key with the key you're in, going to the other destination. You understand? So that's what the pattern.
Okay.
What was the other part of the thing? The question?
My other question, which also have a other question leading to that,
No, no,
but
no.
I didn't want to overstep my limits.
Yeah, so you have one more question you can ask.
Okay. The circle of fifth, how does it work? Because I've always heard of it and seen it, but I haven't really got the gist of it, even though it's a jazz thing I always hear.
Okay, so a simple use of the circle of fifths is like this. Let's say I want to get to the 6 from 1. I could go like the 7, 3, 6, which we all know as keyboard players, is an example of that. Right? So I'm going back. Before I get to a particular place, I'm going a fifth each time. Like I'm going a fifth back in time or back in the chord, if that makes sense. You understand what I mean? Does that make sense? No?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Okay, I finally understand.
All that are circles. 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, flat 7. All that is still in the key in a sense. Right? I mean, there are other interesting ways you can use it, like where you go 1, 4, flat 7, flat 3, 2 in C, 5, and then 1. Right? So, yeah, that's using the circle. That's using that pattern. But you gotta
Okay.
work out yourself and stuff.
All right, we have a question for Fancy, and also a big up from the live. This person is saying that you're superb, bro. And this person is asking, what are your approach to fills?
Take the fancy question first.
All right, so give thanks again. So my approach to fills. So I use, since of late, I'm using 6 and 7 strokes. So incorporating the two together around the kit. So depends on the feel, it probably changes. So yeah, basically 6 and 7 strokes.
I respect.
Okay. I was gonna say for those of us that, or for those that don't know what that is, what is that?
All right. So
yeah.
All right. So the bad view kind of gone still.
Yeah, thing, man.
Basically, so the 6, 7, the 7 stroke is you can use it different styles. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in other words, it would sound like, so that is a 6 stroke incorporated on the drum set. So if I'm doing a simple groove, like but normally I do it a little faster. So I'm really slowing it down so that you could get it. so it's on. Yeah. So that's how I would use it.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically it just count 6 stroke on however you want to use it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, but sometimes I'm ending up doing it like yeah. So it's basically just counting to 6. So if you want to use 3 on the floor tom and 2 on the kick and 1 on the snare, so it's just how you are comfortable with it. So yeah.
All right. One more question from the live. All right. So this person is asking, what or how do you practice to maintain a steady pocket or timing?
So that's easy. Practice with a metronome. For me, that is my best friend. As I stated in my presentation earlier, that I love to play with metronome, and I don't get to do it often, apart from when I'm at home practicing. But yeah, just practice with a metronome, and whatever rudiment or groove you're practicing, always try to do it with a metronome. Yeah.
All right. Let's TJ Keys.
All right. Good night again. This question is for Chris. 2 questions actually, hopefully. One of the questions is just is more of a terminology thing. I didn't learn this from anyone, but I always hear the term, and I was always told that in gospel we say 736 instead of a minor 251. Why do we call it a 736 in gospel?
Because we I could mention another term as to why that is, but
Okay.
we speak diatonically. Diatonically means
Okay.
in the key.
Yeah, in the
So therefore, if I'm in C,
yeah.
then diatonically B
Okay. Yeah. I'll pick up now.
with it
I'll pick up.
and then 6 is the A. Yeah, so that's why we just do that. Yeah.
Okay. But in a jazz would be a whole different thing. But okay, no man. All right. Okay. So in terms of your voices, the voicings that you use, as I asked before, the voicings are related to the melody line of the song. In reharmonization, do you by any chance use those melody lines to like just create all right, so like in a practice setting, like can you just like create a melody line and just create some chords according to the melody line that you created? Is that a good way to practice reharmonization?
That's a great way to practice reharm. Because
Oh,
it's kind of like a game you play or an experiment where you say, how many chords can I play with this melody? Or what are the different contexts in which this melody work, harmonically speaking, if that makes sense. But how that will help you is kind of knowing. You remember when I went through the basic chords, their inversions and stuff.
yeah.
You have to practice that in every key, and when you practice it in every key, it literally opens your mind as to the possibilities and the amount of chords that you can find. And it's very simple, it's very simple. Practice all the major sevens, all inversions of all the major sevens, all inversions of all the minor sevens, all inversions of you'll be practicing for days, I tell you. Days.
I know.
Right? So if you just sit down and practice that stuff, then trust me, you will and then each time you do it, you will see that there are different notes at the top of each of these keys. And those notes, you can kind of almost like mark it and say, okay, so when I have this note, maybe I can use this type of chord, and maybe I have that note, and I have a different type of chord there or whatever. So you'll begin to see things as you practice stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay, much respect. Thank you.
Ronaldo Williams.
Yes. Night everyone. Fancy. Question to you. My bad. Um, what would be your advice in terms of how we should approach, say, practicing? One, you already established that when we're practicing, we should use a metronome. But is there a format that you would say you would recommend when practicing? Because usually if I'm supposed to do some form of practice, usually I don't have a structure or format. I'll just play around until I do something that I've never done before, and then I focus on that. But is there an actual format that you could say, oh, you could consider this when practicing?
All right, so it depends on what do you want to achieve, basically. So if you get up today and you say, yo, someone want to strengthen my left hand, so you want to take that day and focus on your left hand, and there are days when you just get up and you just play and you build on what you already learned. But if you want a structure though, warming up and selecting the selecting what you want to practice. So all right, let me stress on the left hand. So left handing structure for me, I basically do it with singles. So I would rotate kick and snare. So it would sound something like everybody I hear that? So
Yeah, man.
So me no have no metronome setup still. But depends on what timing. It can go as fast as you want it. But I recommend my favorite BPM is 80. So if you want to start fast or slower, whatever. So if you do that for at least an hour, trust me, you will see growth. And keep that steady. So yeah, it kind of depends on what you want. So you have to select what you want to work on. If you work on a paradiddle and you want it sound different, you have to try instead of do it on the hi-hat and snare, try it with the stack and snare and just be creative.
Explore. Yeah. All right. Respect, brother.
All right, JDM.
All right, greetings. You hear me?
Yeah, bro.
All right, question to Fancy. All right, what motivational advice would you give to a young drummer that just began to play drum to practice their pocket so that it become a part of them? What motivational advice would you give to them?
All right, just listen and listen wide, and listen different drummers, whether it be locally or internationally. Find find that one person or genre to kind of. All right, so I'll give you an example. Like jazz, in a sense, for drummers, it's kind of pocketed where swing is concerned. So we don't normally move from this. If you know what I mean? So for me, jazz in a sense for drummers is kind of pocketed. So just listen, wide, and yeah.
Respect, fam.
Sir Chris Bailey.
Just a minute, guys. Go ahead. J Keys. It seemed like JPS didn't get my light bill this month, so.
Them
You're
get it,
doing
man.
well,
You
J
just
Keys,
owe a
man.
little.
Boy.
All right,
Them
so
get it,
anybody
man.
else? Yeah, anybody else want to ask any question? You can go ahead now.
Yeah.
All right, question to Chris. Chris, there are times when you play, I place it in the chat, but it gets scroll up. Sometimes when you're playing, I remember watching you playing this song, Cover Me, right? Randall Positive. At times when you play, sometimes, let's say you're playing in the key of C, just for saying things, right? And there are times it's like you go off in a different, I'm going to use the word realm in a good way, like you go off in a different realm of progression, right? Which is not very normal for normal people to hear, right? What's the strategy in doing that? Right. We know as at intermediate going to advanced players, sometimes we do like flat seventh and something, we give it a different sound. But you will have a way of, and I know the synths have a lot to do with it because it gives that kind of sound that the gentleman was asking earlier on when you were doing the presentation. So what's the strategy in getting that? What's the strategy in doing that? What do you think about anyway? Because I mean that's dope.
Okay. All right. So I've actually answered this question already, but you just haven't realized it. The concept that one note can be a million things. That one note can mean many things. So just because I'm playing, what you say? Cover Me, right? I just click Cover Me now again.
E flat.
Right. All right. So first thing, when I'm doing the outro for that, the song is in E flat major. All over me, keeping me alive. They're singing at the end. They're singing cover me, cover me, cover me. I could have kept it major, but I said no. It's more aggressive. It's more outro. So now we minor it. So now it becomes more aggressive. Cover me, cover me. Because E flat major would have been happy. It does sound weird. But if you go minor, no, it sounds dancehall, it sounds aggressive, and you know what I mean? So at this point where I'm in this part of the song, I'm thinking in the key of E flat minor. But actually I'm thinking in F sharp major. And the reason why I'm using F sharp major is because F sharp major is relative to E flat. Well, F sharp is relative to E flat.
Yep.
Okay? Where it's the minor third. So I'm going a minor third up. And I'm able to do that because E flat exists in E flat, obviously, but it also exists in F sharp. So in two different keys, the note exists, but it's functioning in two different ways. See that? So I go. stays at the top. Right? So you still hear that sound because it's still ringing out. It's just that now I've made the whole mood of the thing minor. So it's more aggressive and so. So I might, so a couple of things I'm thinking about the relativity of the keys that I'm going in between. There's always a commonality between the keys. Even though they sound foreign or they sound weird, there is something that is common about them. And what that thing is will vary depending on what note or melody I am having to work with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, man, makes sense. And thank you for that because I'm a music teacher, right? And I remember I was teaching some students back in the days, right? And I was telling them just the same thing. The reason why I had asked that question is because as one of them texts me to ask that question because they're not able to be online and they're going to watch it afterwards, so they want to see it, right? So I just want to encourage all the other musicians that are here now watching. Your theory is very, very important, right? Sometimes we get up and we play. Sometimes it's better to know what you're playing so you can actually develop a little bit more. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I agree.
Statement second. Seconded. I don't know. What is it?
Lol.
Yeah, man, go ahead and ask questions. Okay.
All right, so Chris, this question I've always wanted to ask any of my, like, would I ask anybody this? As a person, like as a musician, this isn't has nothing to do with you playing. This has everything to do with humility and you growing into putting yourself out there. Is it easy to put yourself out there, or is it really hard, really difficult to like put yourself out there as a musician?
When you say put yourself out there, what exactly are you talking about?
I mean, like you would, like as me, I'd post things
Mm-hmm.
and people would see it and people would say, okay, get this guy on the stage.
So you're asking if that's easy to do?
Yes.
Um, well, no, it isn't. Um, it isn't easy to do at all, actually. But what allows, well, I can't speak for me. What allows me to do something like that is confidence. And that's the thing. Which is it brings up an interesting thing. There's a big difference between confidence and arrogance, right? And so I think what people will see with me is confidence. People will say, like, I'll get messages sometimes that people say, boy, you just love it. I just can't see that you love what you do and whatever. It's loving what you do, but it's also the confidence to do it. And the confidence come from, the hours of practicing, the hours of working things out and getting it, as they say in school, under your fingers, getting it, locked in muscle memory, and stuff like that. So once you do all of that and you've practiced and you've had the experience because you've, been around a while and you've practiced and you've worked it and you've worked and you've gotten the opportunity to probably go here and there and whatever, then certain things become easier because your confidence grows and you're able to therefore now make certain moves and go with the time because the time is now social media, the time is posting, the time is whatever. But you have to kind of have a confidence in yourself and a confidence in what you are doing. I remember a time when I had to speak to a young man that kind of was posting because he, inspire people, so them kind of post to, fans. And I had to speak to him because the stuff wasn't necessarily good. I mean, not to sound harsh or whatever, but the stuff wasn't necessarily good.
Understand.
And I had to say to him, all right, bro, you have to work on your craft. Like, you need to work on your craft. You need to improve. You need to practice more. Go back into the, the room or the wherever you practice. Work some things out more and whatever, so that you can reach to a point where, when someone hears you, they can say, yo, that youth is improving or he's doing well or he has worked his thing out and whatever, whatever. And then that can be one of the things too. Affirmation from other people to say, yeah, I hear the growth, I hear the whatever. And then that will boost your confidence. Now, it can be the biggest thing because now, yeah. But work on your craft though. Work on your gift.
Okay, so my next question would be where it comes to like respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, sometimes as a musician, some people seem I don't want to seem like I'm trying to diss them or anything, but I'm saying some people would like take everything you say as a disrespectful thing in a way like you're trying to say it for the better of them and they take it in a very disrespectful way.
Mm.
Like if someone was to ask me, because I'm not really full in the music thing, if someone was to ask me to teach them, and I would tell them, look, I don't know much. I'm as good as you are, but what I'd advise is you practice a lot. I
Mm.
could give you pointers, but I don't know much. And the person would take it very disrespectful and say, yo, you know what, teach me this and that, I go if you go and this and that. I was like, come on, that's not what I meant. I actually meant very good of you. Or in a case, because this happens at my church, um, where this person came up to me and was like, yo, look, I want the information really badly. I was like, I've been in a situation like this where someone has told me to be patient and I had to listen because not I was not given a choice. I was like, okay, I'll be patient. And I really worked up a storm when it came to being patient. I even wrote a lot of my information in a book, in the book that I have in front of me right now. It's a tiny Seek book that I've been writing everything in for the past few months, seeing from 2021. And I mean, like, this person really takes it disrespectful in a way that the person avoids me sometimes, talks about me a lot, and I'm like, come on, I really meant the best of
Right.
you.
Well, here's the thing. There's so much and no more you can do about a person's what word do I use here now? I don't want to say ignorance, even though ignorance is typically seen as like negative. Like once I hear ignorance, it is like, oh, yeah, so the person's stupid. No, we're not saying that. We're saying that the person doesn't. They're not aware of a particular thing, perhaps. So um, so and the other thing is sometimes people, once you tell somebody no, immediately I fight them just because they wanted a yes. You might have said no, but they don't look at the fact that you put something in there to say, all right, I might not be able to do this. However, they don't even look at the fact, say you are suggesting something that can help them. All they heard was no. And once you said no, but then they were lost. You know what I mean?
You see, the no with me, I don't make it obvious that I take the no very much, and I think that fails me a lot as a person. Because someone told me that well, not someone, my father told me. I asked my father if I could get baptized at the age 5, and my father was like, "Look, no, but you're going to have to wait." But I can give you suggestions leading forward to your Christianity. And he was like, I was like, okay, okay. And I was like, you sure you understand? Because it looks like you didn't really understand. And you probably take it to heart now. I was like, no, no, I understand completely. And leading forward, he actually was like, okay, all right, I think you're ready, because I was at least 12, I think, when I got baptized. And my father was like, look, this is a big step you're taking. It's okay to back out if you want to, and it's okay to feel nervous. It's there for you.
Mm.
And
Well,
I
yeah.
was like, okay, I'll go ahead and get baptized.
Okay. Well, we don't really want to stray off topic. Off topic. Um. However, like I said, I mean, in terms of communicating to someone, you can do so much that you can do. You do it in a respectful way. You do your part. If they take it away, that is kind of they are the one kind of at fault there. If even in you trying to resolve a thing, you trying to calm them down and be like, no, that's not what it is. If them still a fight, you just have to leave them alone, and just live with yourself, knowing that you did what you could do. But you don't try and force someone to whatever. And on the flip side, if you're receiving rejection or whatever, just take it gracefully. It's probably good for you. You know what I mean? It's fine. You just don't force anything at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
A question for Fancy. Fancy, I have a question. Talk about the discipline of being the one that control the heartbeat of a song when you're on stage. And I have another question for you. What's your most challenging genre of music that you play?
All right, so talking about heartbeat of the band, it's basically easy. So you as a drummer, you're acting now as a metronome on the live stage, basically. So you are keeping the band together, basically. So my hardest genre would be ah is there a genre that is hard? All right, so for
It's hard for fans. Oh, no.